I am the Space Quest historian. A couple of weeks ago, I went to the Adventure Game Fan Fair in Tacoma, Washington, at Just Eat Glassy for dramatic effect. It was held in a convention center in downtown Tacoma, in sort of a sketchy part of the neighborhood, at least. We were like 5 minutes away in an Airbnb, and we were woken up to the sound of gunshots one morning. So, but anyway, the convention center was very nice. The event was wonderful. I had a great time there. And I was gonna do like a scripted video kind of thing and just run through a bunch of things. And then halfway through it, I went, you know what? Let's just roll this off the cuff. Let's do this vlog style. Because I didn't shoot much video while I was there. I pretty much took photos, which is a testament to my professionalism as a YouTuber. So this is just going to be like the holiday slideshow kind of affair of things that happened there. Also, I'm not going to run through every single thing that happened there. I'm sure the adventure game Hotspot, who organized the thing, are going to do quite an excellent job of showing what actually went on in terms of the panels, the guests. There was an award show, stuff like that. There was a big Sierra reunion of luminaries from the Sierra Online days of the, well, Ken and Roberta Williams was there, so I guess it's like technically 1981-2-ish, all the way up to 1995-6, or whenever the company went to shit. So instead of doing the big retrospective, this and this and this, I'm just going to tell some of my favorite stories of what happened while I was there, because so many fucking cool things happened there. So I doubt this video is going to get that many views, but I just feel like I have to share some of these stories because holy shit. First of all, before the convention actually started, I got a message from Tom Hardwich, the Lucy Dreaming guy, who said that Dominic Armato, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, has asked me to see if he can find some cool people to invite for dinner. And he specifically said, I don't actually know any cool people, but I was wondering if you'd like to come. And I said, yeah, I want to go to dinner with Guybrush Threepwood. This is such a weird sentence. And then on the second day of the convention, I know I'm skipping ahead a bit, but the day's over, all the panels are done, everyone's sort of milling into the main hall trying to decide what to do next. And a couple of my friends are like, oh, let's go down to the pizza place and get some pizzas and whatever. And I'm like, sure, I'm in. And the thing is, I'm actually kind of sort of wobbly on my feet on that day because the day before we had like a big party at the Airbnb we were staying in, stayed up very late, so I was a bit like, not hungover, but my belly was sort of going, I don't think you're supposed to be doing this. And I was actually thinking of like calling it an early night and going back to the Airbnb and get some rest before everyone else came back home. And I get this tap on my shoulder and it's Tom. And he says, you ready to go? And I go, yeah, sure, pizza. That sounds like a good idea. And he says, pizza? No, dinner with Dominic Armato. And I go, oh shit, was that today? Tom follows me through the scary streets of Tacoma to the restaurant. We get there a little late. Everyone else is already seated. And I think, all right, you know what? I'm just going to hang back in the back because Tom took a seat like at the back of the table. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit next to Tom. I'm just going to hang back, chill, try not to make a fool of myself. But no, they pull out a chair and sit me right next to Dominic at the other end of the table. And I'm like, oh shit, this is going to go well, isn't it? So they thrust this piece of paper in my hand and I don't even really look at it. I'm just assuming this is the menu and I'm going to pick something to order from it. So I just quip something like, oh, I hope there's not a lot of seafood on this because I don't really do seafood. And it turns out it's the drinks menu. And Dominic just launches into this bit about, no, I don't think they squeeze a lot of crap juice in their cocktails around here. And oh God, this is off to a great start. But anyway, we don't even select anything from the menu because we've arrived so late. The restaurant apparently closes early or something. So Dominic's just ordered everything on the menu and you just sort of take what you get from, you know, the dishes that are brought out. And he was very, very sweet. He, like, okay, this one might have seafood in it. You might want to stay away from that. This one's good to eat. You'll like that one. And for those of you who don't know, in addition to being the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, Dominic is a food critic. So he knows his shit. And I was kind of scared that this was going to be like really fancy kind of food because I don't go to restaurants. I just cook some pasta at home and throw some tomato sauce on it and call it a day. But this was really good. It wasn't like, I mean, there was a burnt carrot in there. it was delicious. And I somehow made it through dinner without making too much of an idiot of myself. Although at one point I tried to share some sort of news that would make it seem like I deserved to be there, which I didn't, because, you know, you had Julia Minamata and Dave Gilbert and Francisco Gonzalez and Tom Hardwich and a bunch of other people who have accomplished much more in their lives than I have. So I was trying to like sort of fit in, and I go, oh, well, I just got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And everyone was cheering and going, yay, that means you get a plaque and everything's going to be lovely. And it wasn't until I got home and my brain sort of kicked back into gear that went, it's 10,000. It's not actually 100,000. Oh, shit. So I sheepishly had to admit to Dave Gilbert first, who shit his pants laughing at the little faux pas, and then to Dominic, who I ran into the next day. I wasn't actually bragging. I just somehow added an extra 0 to my subscriber count. Oh well. Anyway, thank you for the 10,000 subs, by the way. When I actually get to 100,000 subs, I'll call up Dominic and say, "Yay! I finally did it now." Oh, and my band was there. I hesitate to say a full band because we were still missing our guitar player and our synth player. But we did have Mick on bass, we had Eric on violin and keyboards, and we had me on drums. And filling in on guitar was Paul from the CGG podcast. And we were supposed to be the backing band for a performance of the Leisure Suit Larry theme. With Al Lowe on saxophone, which we rehearsed a grand total of once. Mick and Eric had practiced a bit beforehand, and I'm sure Paul did too. But as far as actually practicing together, we got there like at 9 in the morning and sort of ran through it a couple of times. And we're like, okay, this is what we're doing, I guess. And then the actual performance starts later in the day. And Al goes up with a saxophone and everyone's, with their instruments getting ready. And instead of going, do, 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 like leading us in, he goes, and everyone just sits there going, what are we doing? And it completely falls apart. Al is the only one playing his instrument now, and he's turning around looking at us going, what the fuck are you guys doing? And we're like, we don't know when to come in. This is not what we planned. Everyone hopefully thought that it was like a bit, like it was a skit, like it was part of the performance, like, oh, they train wrecked, and haha. No, that was a genuine train wreck. We had no idea what the fuck we were doing. Between like fits of laughter from the audience, Al just turns away from the microphone and goes, what do you want? And I said, in tempo, just please start in tempo so I can, start in on the drums and everyone knows where they are. And he went, okay. I think he went like, you're the boss. And I go, no, you are. So he starts again, do, 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 and then everyone falls in and it goes. And I fuck up on the drums. Perfect. I did that in rehearsal too. Even in rehearsal, I was like, oh shit, I missed the beat. Oh, this is going to fall apart. And I was like, okay, I should simplify this. I should just go with the, single hand on the hi-hat and sort of keep tempo. And then, performance time comes and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to do the double. I think I've worked it out mentally. I think I can do the double thing. Of course, I miss a beat. Fortunately, later on Sunday, like right at the end of the convention, like the last thing that was going to happen at the convention, they brought up the whole band once again to do a rendition of the Freddie Farkas theme, the Ballad of Freddie Farkas. The same band without Al Lowe on the saxophone, though. The music starts, I can hear like the ballad from the game playing over the speakers, like very faintly, but I'm behind the drum kit and I'm going, am I supposed to be playing along to the backing beat? Is there a backing track? Because here's the thing. We had planned originally for this Freddie Farkas sing-along. It was going to be the closing thing of the whole event, the whole convention. Everyone was going to sing along. It was going to be great. But we had planned for it to be just a backing track, just, run it off the computer, because we'd already done a remix of the Freddie Farkas theme. So we were just going to run the karaoke version of that remix. But like 30 minutes before the end of the day on Sunday, I think it was Paul or Eric who came up to me and went, oh, are you ready to do Freddie Farkas? I'm like, no. You mean backing track? No, we're playing it live. We just rehearsed it. You weren't there, so but we are going to do it live. And I was like, fuck me, I've already had a couple of beers. How's this going to go? Frontier hero to be. So here I am listening to this thing backing track, I think. So I'm trying to play along, but I can't hear a fucking thing. Jackie starts singing in an octave too high for their voice. So their voice is like cracking, and it's, he forgets some of the lyrics at some point. It went splendidly. During the convention, Mark Crow and Chris Pope were at the convention. So it was great to meet them, and Mark was like super sweet, hugs and photos, and we sort of hung out for like most of the day, really. I every time you walked into the convention center, their booth, they had a little booth with Space Venture stuff on it and stuff. And when you walked into the convention center, they're like literally the first booth to your right. So every time I walked in, I was like, hi, Mark. Hi, Chris. And they were like hanging out there. One of the programmers on Space Venture, Tyler Drinkert, was there as well. And one of the days we just decided, hey, you guys want to go out for lunch? And they're like, yeah, sure. We'll go have some lunch. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go to this panel that's going on, and when I'm done, I'll come back out and we'll figure out something for lunch. And they're like, okay, sure. And I go in, and I'm with Josh Henry, and I'm with Eric Elsom, Magic Map Studios guy, and I sort of say to both of them, hey, I'm going to go to lunch with Mark Crow and Chris Pope. You guys want to tag along? And they're like, yeah, sure. And we run into Kevin Wallace, Wilco Web on DS Creates Discord. He's like, do you want to go to dinner with Mark Crow? He's like, yeah. So all of a sudden, we're like this big entourage of people walking into a taco restaurant. Now, full disclosure, I've had tacos before, but I've never had American tacos. I'm not a big restaurant guy. Again, I don't really go out to eat like ever. So I'm in the taco restaurant. The menu is full of words I don't understand, and so I order something that sounds like I could actually eat it without without making a mess on the airplane ride back home. And it arrives. There's like 3 tacos rolled up in something I would assume is bread. And because I'm a complete imbecile, I say, are you supposed to pick these up and eat them with your hands? And like, yeah, sure, but it's going to get a bit messy, and I don't want to, just slobber tortilla juice all over Mark Crow. So I asked the waitress for a knife. See, they only gave us a fork, and I don't know what I was supposed to do with that either. But I asked, can I have a knife? And of course, everyone's just going, yeah, but well, you're the tourist, so yeah, of course you get a knife. So they bring me a knife, and I look at everyone else. They're just picking it up with their hands and eating it like apparently you're supposed to. So I figured, fuck it. When in Rome, pick it up, get grease everywhere, and we just have a lovely a lunch with Mark Crow and Chris Pope. And we learn, he tells us this great story about how back in late 80s, Sierra hired some marketing company to come up with a new logo for Sierra Online, like they were rebranding from Online Systems to Sierra Online. And like several months pass by, and the marketing agency comes back with a triangle in a circle. Like, that's going to be the new Sierra Online logo. What is this? And Mark was like, I can do better than that. So he sits down with some, paper and a ruler and a pencil and draws the now iconic, Venetian blind Sierra logo that they used like for 10 years or more. And yeah, we just have a nice, quiet, chill time. So there's no real punchline to any of this. I had lunch with Mark Crow and Chris Pope. Guess who I also had lunch with? There's no countdown here. There's no prize for guessing. So, like I said, Era 47, my band, was there. We were going to do a medley of music from The Seventh Guest, because we just did an album of music from The Seventh Guest. And Jackie was there, our frontman, our lead singer, and Sarah Kelly. She was not involved in any of the Seventh Guest material, but she did come on stage when they were doing our version of Girl in the Tower from Eric Elson's King's Quest VI record, which is a very divisive cover, I must say, because it starts out like you'd imagine, and then goes into a dubstep thing, and then into a speed metal thing. But they pulled off that performance magnificently. Sarah's a hell of a vocalist. So is Jackie, by the way. But backpedaling to the Seventh Guest performance. So we had 2 tracks from the Seventh Guest, and Jackie was just up there on their own lonesome, having to sing these songs to a backing track. For the entire duration of making the Seventh Guest and 11th Hour album, the original composer, George the Fat Man Sanger, has been super supportive and just super sweet. And he, for some reason, really loves what we've done to his music. And he kept like talking us up and saying, oh, you got to listen to this shit when it comes out and all that. So when we had the live performance, I say live because Jackie was singing, but the rest of it was on a backing track. He was there. He was all pumped up, and George ran to the front of the stage with his little cell phone and video Jackie singing this up on stage. And Jackie is like the definitive Seventh Guest fan. So they were like really nervous about, first of all, singing it live in front of the man who composed it, but also the dude is now front center next to the stage with his cell phone videoing them singing this and headbanging along to the music, which was such... there was such a great moment. I was sitting right next to, like, in my seat right behind him, and it was just so great seeing this man who actually, first of all, is a music legend. Second, he composed all of, the Seventh Guest and 11th Hour soundtracks, and we've just sort of mangled it into this industrial rock cacophony. And he's just sitting there going, yeah, fuck yeah. And it was so great. And after that, Michael and I, the bass player in Era 47, Michael and I were like thinking of, hey, we should go get some lunch. So we were like standing out in the front hall making plans, like, yeah, we should probably head off now. And George just sort of walks into our peripheral vision and hears us planning lunch plans, like saying, where should we go for lunch? And he goes, I'm coming. Not like, can I come or something. He just says, I'm coming. So, okay, we're having lunch with George the Fat Man Sanger, apparently. We head off. We find a Thai restaurant somewhere, have a seat. Michael buys us a round of beers. Everyone's like clinking glasses, and we have a chat with the Fat Man. And it's fucking surreal because we've like been entrenched in Seventh Guest lore and music for over a year and a half now. So having lunch with the dude who wrote it was just surreal. And at one point, he's on his phone, and Mick and I are just, talking because, let the man take his calls and whatever. And he's like, sounds like he's giving directions. So he puts the phone down. We continue our conversation. We have some very, very dry chicken. And all of a sudden, Graham Devine. Sorry, I can never get that right. But anyway, the lead programmer and co-founder of Trilobite just walks in through the door and has a seat right next to us and has a beer. And all of a sudden, we're having lunch with George the Fat Man Sanger and Graham Devine. And we didn't really talk much about, Seventh Guest, 11th Hour, other than George once again effusively singing our praises, which is just, again, mind-boggling to me. But also, Mick and Graham and I sort of bonded over our shared appreciation for Blade Runner. It's Graham's favorite movie. It's my favorite movie. I'm rambling. Anyway, again, no real punchline to this other than, fuck me, I had lunch with, like, yeah. So you see where this is going. I had trivia night with Anna from the CGG podcast, and that trivia competition, which was, it was all in good fun and whatever, but it was just off to a fucking shaky start because we were supposed to have 2 microphones and a team on stage and, answer trivia questions with our team, and only 1 microphone worked, so we had to pass that back and forth. There was a lot of, what do we do now? I don't know, let's just keep this going kind of thing.
Hi, I'm Anna. And I'm the co-host of this trivia, which is off to a fantastic start, I have to admit. You?
Well, hi, I'm Space Quest historian. I do videos about Space Quest and entertain the community, and have for many, many years.
I've got to mention your credentials. Is that thing live?
It is.
Not.
And also, there were some... Well, I wouldn't say fairly complicated rules, but I mean, I had read the rules beforehand. I'd even had them explained to me again by Alex Greenberg, one of the organizers, who was very patient with me. But once I got on stage, all that went out the window. It did not register in the slightest. So Anna had to sort of coach me on the rules as we were presenting this trivia night. It was great fun.
You are eaten by spell the monster. Who's the hungry monster from Zork? You have to spell the name. You are eaten. Come on.
We had tons of fun.
We have caused irreparable psychological damage to the next contestant. And here's the personification of that.
Hey, we had a blast. And of course, I went home with a bunch of lovely, lovely swag. I brought a couple of game boxes. I say a couple, quite a few actually. Yeah, I only had carry-on luggage on the plane, so these game boxes had to fit in like one carry-on sports bag. So I only took games that had slip covers, so I could take the slip covers off the actual game boxes and compress them flat and put them in the luggage. Except for one, which was the Secret of Monkey Island box that I already had Ron Gilbert's signature on, but Dominic Armato was there, so I got Dominic to sign it as well. And I also moderated a panel for Tex Murphy, the co-creator, Aaron Connors. I say co-creator. He was brought on on the third game, Under a Killing Moon, but he pretty much defined Tex's character. So I did a panel with him and visual effects artist Matt Van Roon, who was brought on for Tesla Effect, was a big Tex Murphy fan before then. I said, Tex Murphy's my second favorite game series of all time. Obviously, I'm the Space Quest historian, so Space Quest has to take this top spot, but Tex Murphy is a very close. It's my second favorite game series of all time. And Aaron Connors just quips, well, you're my second favorite interviewer of all time. It's just, oh, that's so good. So good. The one thing is, I took a lot of pictures of people that I met and got some signatures. Got Lorelei Shannon on my Phantasmagoria 2 box. Obviously got Mark Crow's signature on Space Quest 5. They even gave me a Space Venture box, empty Space Venture box. And the game isn't quite finished yet, but they gave me one of, what's going to be the big boxes, completely flat, and had Mark's and Chris Pope's and Tyler's signatures on that. It was super cool. And I brought my Under a Killing Moon box that had the slipcover, and Aaron Connors signed that. And after that, I went out and actually had a PI breakfast with Aaron Connors himself and had a lovely chat with him. And I completely forgot to take a photo with either him or Matt Van Roon. The only photographic proof that I have of even being in the same room with Aaron Connors and Matt Van Roon is that we did that panel, which was live streamed. There I am, standing outside the convention center, having a smoke with Aaron Connors and talking shit and just having a good time. And at no point does it cross my mind, maybe we should do the thing. Maybe we should do the thing. I was doing the thing with everyone else. It came out wrong, but anyway, I was taking photos with everyone else because that's what I do at conventions. I like to look at photos and remind myself, oh yeah, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? Oh my god, I'm a bit of a softie like that. I also like to get signatures on stuff like game boxes and stuff like that. My wife is like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you 14 years old? But I just have a weird affinity for that kind of thing. And of course, Ken and Roberta Williams were there. I actually had a full-on conversation with Roberta Williams. Now, here's the thing. I have met Ken and Roberta Williams before at PAX a few years ago, but it just sort of happened in the Blitz. We're like in a green room, and they just I went up to Ken. Hi, Ken, remember me? And he's like, yeah, good to meet you. I'd done that interview with them online before, so he remembered me and wrote his signature on it. I went up to Roberta, and I was like, hi, Roberta, good to see you again. And she didn't look like she recognized me, so I just got her signature on it. That was great, but it was like a Blitz, like a blink and you'll miss it. This time, Fanfare, Tacoma, Washington. I actually had a full-on conversation with Roberta, and we were talking about Space Venture. And she was talking about how much she loved the Space Quest series when she was at Sierra, and it was great. We actually got a full-on conversation, and Ken was also hovering nearby, and he remembered me again, and he actually went up and shook my hand. Hi, Trolls, how you doing? He's like, fuck, man remembers my name. And Sluicebox, the ScumVM developer, who's at least very, very big percentage partially responsible for porting Sierra's SCI games to ScumVM and making them work and fixing age-old bugs and compatibility issues and all that shit. So the Sluicebox himself was there. The stories this man can tell. And I was super nervous about my last day at the convention, not because of it ending or anything like that. It was just, how the fuck am I going to get to the airport? because Eric, the Magic Map Studio guy, lovely, lovely man, had picked me up from the airport, but he left a day earlier than I was supposed to leave. So I was like, I can't, Eric can't take me to the airport. So I was like talking to him about, oh shit, I don't know how I'm gonna get to the airport. Maybe Mick can sort something out with an Uber. Maybe Roberta Vaughn can take me because we were staying at her Airbnb. And Sluicebox is just sort of hanging around, and he hears that conversation, and he's like, oh, I can take you. So yeah, you just let me know when you need to be at the airport, and I'll sort that out. And I'm like, oh, dude. And sure enough, Sluice rocks up on the last day, say my goodbyes, and I hop in his fucking pickup truck, his amazing pickup truck. So I got to the airport on time, and thank you so much, Sluicebox, for getting me there. So anyway, that's my sort of rambling retrospective on my visit to Tacoma, Washington, and the Adventure Game Fanfare. Big thanks to Joshua Cleveland and his lovely wife, and Jack Allen from Adventure Game Hotspot, who had the idea for the convention, putting all this shit together, and Alex and Daniel Greenberg from Wintarian Studios, who actually hammered the whole fucking thing into shape. I completely forgot to mention another story, which was when I woke up on the second day of the convention, a little bit hungover because we had a bit of a party last night, and I decide, you know what, hair of the dog. I'm going to be on my feet for the rest of the day. I might as well nip this in the bud. So there was like 2 beers left in the fridge, and I decide, you know what, let's go. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Fuck it. I got to get back on my feet. So I sit. I'm halfway through the second one, when all of a sudden Jane Jensen and Robert Holmes materialize into the living room of this Airbnb because they're getting a ride with Roberta Vaughn to the convention. So there's me in fucking living room, and Jane Jensen and Robert Holmes are there. I'm just sitting there sipping a beer at 9 in the morning. That was a bit awkward. And we pile into Roberta's van and drive to the convention, and I'm walking with Jane and Robert, which was just super weird. Oh, and I walked by, there was a booth in the main hall sort of further down that sold like game music vinyls and t-shirts and, knickknacks and stuff like that. And it was really cool. And they had a record player. And at one point I can hear Synths of the Fathers playing. So they've actually got the record on their turntable, a record that I helped produce, playing in the main hall, just on a little speaker on the turntable. And I walk up there and I go, oh, wow, you're playing the record I helped made. And she was like, yeah, I think it's really cool. And I signed the cover. I don't know why. She asked me to. And at one point, just as I was walking up, side A is about to finish, and I go, oh yeah, this is actually one of my favorite bits on the record. And she just reaches down and turns that fucking speaker up, just fucking cranks it, and all of a sudden there's like Gabriel Knight music all over the fucking main hall. It was great. She turned it down afterwards. Don't worry. What else happened? After one of the panels, a lovely person, Caitlin, I believe was the name. Someone had to remind me on Twitter. I'm very sorry. Walked up to me and gave me a little. Do I have it? Well, of course I have it. I hung it on my wall back there. Gave me this little. She said she, been watching my videos. Condolences, and decided to make this little crochet Roger Wilco for me. It was just like super cool. So thank you very much. Yeah, that was my experience at the inaugural Adventure Game Fanfare in Tacoma, Washington. Scary neighborhood, great convention. Thanks to everyone who was there. It was great to hang out with people from the Adventure Game Hotspot Network and friends that I haven't seen in ages. These are my people. And I only get to do this every once in a while. Like, not even every year, just every once in a while when someone decides to fly me out for these things. So that was amazing. Had a great time. This video is going to get 0 views, isn't it? Anyway, there it is. Thanks very much for watching. See you around the Chrono Stream. How did I fuck that up? See you around the Chrono Stream. Bye.